Hello, friends. That's a sigh of exasperation. Hello. I shouldn't start on such a negative note, should I? My name's Dan. Maybe you know that already. And this is Daily Art Adventure 705. I bet you didn't know that. Which is final touch-ups and loose ends. So I have 1, 2, 3 paintings here. I'm starting with the most troublesome one. I honestly thought that I was essentially finished with this portrait. 2 little boys, and they both need work. But as so often happens, okay, according to that, corners of those eyes are perfect. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. And I've already been measuring, as you maybe saw when you tuned in. I've already been measuring. Hello, Khalid JJ. Good to have you. Let's just hope for the best here. I reinstalled the app on my phone. I truly was hoping that would fix it. All right, so just I'm going to choose to make the inside corner of this eye my reference point. I was hoping I was done with this precious little time in a while. I went, oh no. There's several things that I'm afraid are off. Oh. Artist, what is not part of being an artist is having your stream freeze up, especially when you thought you had just taken all. Again, very sorry. The good news is I realized instantly that it had frozen, so I didn't go on blathering to myself, as has happened in the past sometimes. Totally disapprove, but it sometimes has to be done, evidently. All right, corner of eye to, yes. So it is. I can see this plain as. Hello, Khalid. Thank you for joining us for a few minutes. I'm sorry about my technical issues that cut your visit even shorter. Something earlier in the day soon. All right, the distance between the corner of his eye and his ear. Look at how off that is. That is just painful. That is just. But all you can do is fix it. To portrait blindness. Okay, portrait blindness is what I call what afflicts us all, which is after staring at a face, a portrait, you can't see your mistakes anymore. At least I can't, and I think I'm typical in that regard. And the number one solution to that is sleep on it. Come back to it a couple days later. So that's exactly what I did here, and it has paid off. And said, oh, I nailed it, it's perfect. But that is not at all what has happened. Instead, That's called portrait agony. Oh! And anybody who's done portraiture has experienced that. All right, this portrait, this one, this time. And for me, I would say it does. I do accomplish that lofty goal maybe 50% of the time. Nailed it. That's not a very high percentage. I'm not bragging. That's me complaining. Man, 50%. 50% of the time it's a so I described this the other day. I think this is my level of expertise or lack thereof. Tongue painting, oh my goodness. Everything but the tongue. I'm managing to keep that mostly tucked carefully in behind my teeth. You can see it. You can see it, of course, just by the way I'm holding the brush. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can do some. Yeah, I did. There. I did some real painting. Good for me. Let's try another one. All right, let me get back to measuring here in a minute. That little dark line is too dark. Whew. Be careful. Beware. And this is so much the bad part of painting. Right up in knots. Okay, there's another problem with this face, by the way. I've got his whole mouth as a curve, when in actuality, his almost straight. Ooh, yeah. So, whew, that's painful. So I have to fix his mouth as well. Now, the real big question I have is, where on, because from the corner of this eye, which I'm making my measuring point, to the sharp point of his sideburns. Oh. Oh, that's embarrassing. Well, let's get after it. Groaning and moaning sometimes. Groan a little and then just get after it. Pre-mixed here like I did a couple days ago when I was doing this portrait. Okay, the peak, I've got it really wrong. Boy, that's embarrassing. Can I just keep? What is? Well, look at this. Is so I can't believe I did this. Look at the relationship of the hair where it intersects with his ear. You see that? And look at me. Oh my goodness. Ouch. That hurts. This is why we don't do portraits. Hair up there. Oh, good. Still about a 1/16 of an inch too low. Back and paint background color. up to his hair over here, but I can't, I just, a few minutes ago. If I get too exasperated here, I will stop broadcasting because it's just going to get too embarrassing. I'm very close. Let's try now. Corner to edge of ear, outside edge of ear. Wow. Almost sideburn. Scrape out some of the new paint I just put on there. And as you all can see, I mean, even to paint the way I'm painting now, measuring from a photograph is a real day. And here I am. And by the way, I'm practicing what I preached the other day, so to speak. Oh, and his hair's off over here. Okay. I said, all cheating is legal. Almost everybody does it. Even the great. And there are times when you and I have to do it. Okay, look, I got his hair wrong on both sides of his head. That is. I like to point to these two things in front of my head and my face, say, what are those things? Pointing at my eyeballs. What are those things? Do you use them for anything? Use those things for anything? And anybody that's done a portraiture, of course, you recognize my agony, unless, of course, maybe you're so good that this never happens to you. Such a thing is conceivable. My goodness, looks to me like by the time I'm finished here, I'm going to redo his entire face. Because now I'm questioning, oh, by the way, cheating, legal, but sometimes you have to do it. So what do you do when you cheat? Your brain shrieks. So what do? You start out the hard way and then increase the degree of cheating as you need to the further you go. So that's exactly what I'm, so to speak, right? Okay, from there to the corner of his jaw. Of my calipers, the same. About a little more than a quarter inch below his ear. That in fact is what I'm doing. The question you might ask, well, after wrestling with the portrait next, you know, what possibly could you have to do that's even, so to speak, more of a cheat than this? Well, one would be a grid, right? I printed this out on my printer and do a bunch of vertical and horizontal lines. Not a grid per se, but like do a vertical through the pupil of each eye, the mouth, you know, do you know what I mean? So just help me make sure that I get the major lines of his face in the right place. So that is still ahead of me. If I discover that I really can't doing this degree of cheating, then I will indeed do more cheating. Hopefully it won't come to that. Let's check now. The pupil of his eye. Nose there, mouth there. Let's do that again. Nose. Nose has to come 1/16 of an inch to the left, as does his mouth. Wow. Errors hidden not very far under the surface. Oh, and 1/16 of an inch, that's actually on this face this size. I tell you, I'm thinking about all these wonderful Art Student League of New York kind of people, and the Chinese, old Chinese masters, and what a good job they do. I'm feeling kind of stupid. Don, this would have been a good one. Just let's keep this between me and me. You catch my drift. Okay, 1/16 of an inch. I mean, literally make his mouth straighter. So some of you are saying, oh no, I chats, but some of you are saying, oh no, it's okay, we want to see you screw up. Good. Glad to be of service. Glad to help you out here. Green, screw up. He didn't admit that he had screwed up, but it's really obvious to me that he did. Now, not as bad as he didn't screw up, but it was strangely comforting to me to know that I wasn't the only one that does stupid things in portraits. Now his, of course, bottom lip up, so of course, so let me fix that real quickly. I'm still working on his left ear. I just took a detour. The other thing I want to fix is the crease over here in his cheek got somehow, I don't know how, some little genie, imp, portrait imp. I came and messed up my painting during the middle of the night. Nights ago. But while I was sleeping, the portrait imps came out and messed around with it, really screwed things up. And only you fellow portrait painters know of with the veracity of which I speak. Obfuscate the issue by using a big word. Nostril to nostril. Should be too wide. Yep. All right. At least I... Yeah, move it over a whole 1/8 of an inch. That means the whole bottom of his nose needs to move over. Oh, this will look like. All right, do not panic. Hey, let me see what some of you guys are saying. The showing the boy the right lips is too short, making the face fat. Yeah, hello everyone. Hello Ahmed Afalasi. Pardon me just a minute. All right. And I'm ignoring all your anatomical chats at this point. Ahmed says both sides of the lower jaw is wider than the photo. Yeah, Uncle 60, it was called a quick portrait, I think. Quick double portrait. Rip up the photo and say done. Nancy, yes, I do indeed look through the video to see what you're seeing. And in fact, I have a monitor. I think you know this. I have a, where is it? There. I have a wow, we're getting some delay. Let me make some of those changes that you noted a minute ago. Now, by the way, if you guys are going to critique and help my portraits, which you're welcome to do, some ground rules. Not so that you don't hurt my feelings. No, 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 no. That is not the issue here. I'm going to lay down. For me, 2012, 7 years. All right, here's the ground rules, and I've violated them with you. I let you violate them, several of you, portraits, but it's real simple. But it's very important, especially if you want to become a way better portrait painter than I am, obviously. Correct. Got it. Done. Therefore, every mark on this plane can essentially only move. So if we play this game right, technically, all you can say, you cannot say to me anything anatomical. I mean, you can do fat. And I'm saying this not because I'm mean or you've hurt my feelings, which is not at all. Hang on. Because that is, let me expand so you can see my face. As an artist, I hope you're getting this. All of our internal working dialogue must be this point. I'll just call it that. Let's talk geometry. This to some degree. You do not say things, again, as an artist. Now, if you're not an artist, you can say whatever the heck you want, but as an artist, we just ignore you. You can't say, the nose looks a little blank. Say. And not all of you get this yet. I hang out with beginner portrait painters often enough to hear them say, well, something not right with his forehead. Meaningless. Not only is it meaningless language, not only is it of zero value, it's actually negative value. It's actually arena yet. The only verbiage that is helpful to the artist is this or that point needs to move up, down, left, or right. Now, of course, I don't mean everything has to go straight left or up. I'm assuming I'm trusting your verbal skills to know what I mean. Does that make sense, though? You cannot say cheek looks too round, face looks too wide. Meaningless verbiage. What you have to say is the left side of his head needs like at the base of his ear. His earlobe needs to move up, down, left, or right. You can't say something's wrong with his earlobe. Now, again, not because you're going to hurt my feelings. You understand? I'm being a good teacher here. Really damaging to you as an artist if you're trying to do a portrait. You must get to the point that you're only saying, you get away from the hocus pocus sentiment. No, what you say is, and that's what I've been doing. I said, okay, the mouth needs to be straighter. Okay, so that means, and I said that it needs to come up, and then I need to move the bottom of his lip up. Do you hear that word? Up. To her, but again, please understand. Somebody the other day, forgive me. I won't tell you who it was, but I think somebody thought that they had maybe offended me slightly. Oh, and nothing could be further from the. And this is, I do have this much of a handle on portraiture, that all of our verbiage is either north, south, east, or west. That, again, not the worthless language that non-artists use. Like, again, I've already said it, so I won't repeat myself. Got it? All right. And again, that kind of language, you're not only not making progress, you're actually going in reverse. You're damaging your skills as an artist. Okay, I'm going to run a line from the corner of... Wow, I'm not sure I've got that angle right. Let's go from pupil to pupil. The pupil to the center of the pupil. And this ear, I'm working on this ear. It's a quarter, it's 1, 2, 3, it's 5/16 up. 5/16. Pupil to pupil, 5/16. It's all the way up there. It's amazing. It's amazing how bad I am. I may wonder to myself. While I'm at it, let's do the other ear. Okay, at least I have the top of his ear placed in the right spot right now. Okay. I'm running the bold line here right through the middle of each pupil. Is just a little less than 3/8 above this line. My goodness, I am far off. I'm an amazingly bad portrait painter, evidently. And again, in a portrait this size, 1/16 of an inch is half a football field. I'm not even close. I can't even say, well, I'm pretty close. 1/16 of... I will claim, what's the word? I will complain just a little bit that this is a pretty small portrait. And small portraits are harder. I'm just lousy at portraits, evidently. But I'm getting better. Hallelujah. Let's go now. Corner of eye to the right. I just cannot be. Okay, wait a minute. I'm freaking out here. Corner of eye to corner of sideburns. Let's call this broadcast. Let's rename this broadcast. Better yet, let's just I'll delete it. You guys can't stop me from deleting it. Good verbiage there, Uncle 60. Following my instructions. You're telling me it's breaking up a lot. I am, you cannot, I evidently, and it grieves me deeply to say this, evidently my, all right, we're going to find out if I'm broadcasting or not. I've tried to keep you abreast of what's going on over here. My days of agony. I'm really upset. These cameras are not cheap. And but the fact that I've gone through 3 of them in less than 2 years, maybe I should just, believe what my experience is telling me. They're just not up to the job. And I promise I'm not abusing them. So are we broadcasting? Yeah, my mood goes along with Uncle's suggestion. A hammer. But then, after all the pieces are smashed, what then? Well, then you go, whoops, that didn't help any. It felt good for about 1 second. During the interval, I discovered that his mouth was crooked. Okay, tell you what, this is just too much. So I've given you, first of all, I've given you a terrible broadcast. Oh no, it's still bad, isn't it? Of course, Barbara. Yes, correct. I could record. That's a different ball game, as you well know. I started out broadcasting 9 years ago, recording everything, editing, but very quickly the editing just sank my boat. I just emotionally could not possibly keep up with it. So, and for me, live broadcasting was the thing that rescued me. But now live broadcasting is the thing that is damning me. So, Karen's is working for how many minutes? For how many seconds? Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that voice of encouragement. We'll see. Oh, okay. Anyway, let me show you. I called this final edits, and what I just did on that portrait, that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is not called final edits. That's called back to the drawing board. That's serious revision. But let me go to the other painting I did yesterday. Oops. And on this one, in fact, yes, I do just have some final touch-ups to do on this one. Some of you maybe were with me yesterday. Let me move you around so you can, sorry about all the jerking there. Still not quite where I want you. All right, so there's the painting I essentially finished. Oh, I had some spots of sunlight coming in. Oops. Oops, that won't work. Maybe I can block it with this. All right, good enough. All right, so I'm mostly happy with this cityscape. It's a commission piece. I hope the commissioner likes it. But just a little bit of touch up. I love the color. I mean, this painting is obviously about the sky. But I feel like the sky needs to be, I don't have quite enough light, white light, pale, light white in this painting. So, and the place to do it is down here in the sky. I would much rather be working from a photograph that I can trust than just winging it. But that was not an option open to me on this painting. If I don't even have the photograph, I took it downstairs already. If you remember, this was a painting done from a copyrighted, I'm assuming, this is a painting done from a photograph made by, I presume, a professional photographer. Okay, it had all the earmarks of a professional photographer. And we talked quite a bit yesterday about the ins and outs of painting from a copyrighted photograph. And it's a gray area. You know, you could say even morally, whether I get caught or not, should I be painting from a copyrighted photograph? You know, frankly, my conscience is clear. I say, heck yeah. It's as long as, and here's the big caveat, as long as if the photographer were ever to run into my painting or find it on my website, could he or she, oh, Karen, I am not happy about that. I know exactly what you're talking about, this character right here. Well, let me one-up you. It's a gingerbread man running that way. Oh, yeah, my grandchildren helped me with that last night at supper. The first Izzy said, I see a ghost. And then my wife said, no, I think it's a gingerbread man. And I think we settled on gingerbread man. Oh, so maybe I'll try to fix that. Maybe you can put it on. You can paint whatever you want. You just cannot. Oh, Jason is correct. That is correct. You can paint. You can paint whatever you want. You just can't sell it if it's copyrighted. That is correct. All right, but I didn't finish my sentence. I got interrupted. I think the rule of thumb, or the common sense rule, is if the photographer were to see this painting, could he or she say that painting was done from my photograph? And Uncle 60 paid a secret visit to Raleigh, drove down from New Jersey, took a picture of Raleigh, and his lawyer's going to call me. Anyway, hush, everybody. Could the photographer recognize his or her painting? And the answer to this is a resounding heck no. Of course, I'd like to say a stronger word, but my mom might be watching, so we'll just leave it at heck no. No. The sky, it was a sunset scene of the city from this angle. I changed this, and I changed the sky massively. The only thing I kept was some of the coloration. But could a photographer say, hey, that's the sky? And the answer is no. Besides that, there have been literally thousands of photographs of our city taken from this precise angle. So could the photographer identify it? And the answer is no. So anyway, that's But because of that, that means I can't go to a photograph to get the sky correct. If you follow me, I'm making up the sky. I have to make up the sky so that I'm not. Okay, now forgive me. I could have done this. I could have gone, couldn't I? I could have gone to Google and I could have just Googled any old sunset and used that. True, 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 true. Maybe I should have done that. I didn't. So this sky is completely made up. And as I'm complaining to you at the moment, because of that, you know, I would like to reference this. I would like to look at a photograph and see actually what actually happens color-wise down here at the bottom of this. But anyway, so I can't do that. But I think I'm liking here. I'm liking what's happening here anyway. So I think this will remedy what was bothering me just a little bit when I looked at this last night. Just a little bit too dark. So my goal here is simply to lighten, especially the sky. I'm not sure after I do the sky, will I start doing some of the buildings? Very possible. But I don't think the painting needs much revision. So that's already a little bit better, just like that. The other thing I need to do is come in here and do that pale, what is the blue stuff down here, make it also lighter than it is. Static. Hang on, let's get rid of that. There we go. Sorry about that. So how's our stream doing now? Is it steady? Deborah, Deborah says when they see her painting, they'll never recognize. You'll never know it was from the photograph because they won't recognize it. Oh, Deborah, that's just you being humble. We don't believe that at all, but that's funny. Yeah, this is the classic view of downtown Raleigh. We have, 4 or 5 angles, and the downtown is always changing. So that's part of the reason why I'm not going to be in trouble, is because everybody and their brother has taken a picture of Raleigh from this angle. And David is suggesting lighter green in the foreground. I'll consider that, David. I already looked at that once. Consider that yesterday when I was doing. I don't know if you saw me when I mentioned that, if you were watching. In the photograph that my client gave to me, of course, that I'm not a slave to that, of course, but I take it, on advisement. I take my client's suggestion seriously. In that photograph, the foreground was actually considerably darker than this. So I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'll look at it again with fresh eyes in a minute, though, David, because I agree with you that, it's awfully dark down there. Maybe you'll push me just over the edge toward lightening it up just a little bit. We'll see. But at the moment, let me just finish the clouds, the sky. Ooh, that's a nice color there. It's a pretty bold sky for me. And I think what's bold about it, it's a fairly, what's the word, representational, fairly realistic. Oh, be quiet. Aaron, was that you that said you saw a genie? That now everybody sees a genie. So I'm going to try to get out my genie killer tools over here. Or gingerbread man, as the case may be. Whoops, is my sound good? Yeah. Barbara, I think I agree with you. I think our eye is going where I want it to go. You know, it's playing around, taking a trip up into the sky, but it's not down here. There's enough interest down here, and probably you guys aren't seeing. Oh yeah, well, it looks a lot worse. Here, let me, just for fun. Sorry about the earthquake ride, but let's let the automatic exposure there. I bet there's a lot more light. Now, ignore that bit of sunlight right there, of course. I bet there's a lot more light down here than you thought. I'm looking at my monitor. That looks like a reasonable facsimile. Yeah, there you go. So does that help? I think that probably gives you a better idea, actually, of how much light is down there. It's not quite as dark as it looks. I want to mess up this genie up here. Genie, gingerbread man, ghost. Can I do it? I'm not sure. Jason. Yeah, I think you're right. I think, and I don't know if you made that comment, Jason, before I did that close up. I think it's probably okay. So, for those of you who just tuned in, what I'm doing here is trying to get rid of an accidental genie or gingerbread man in the clouds up here. But that's real life, isn't it? That's what happens when you look at interesting clouds. Your eye sees shapes. Yes, Rome is on fire. Woohoo! Oh, it is a particular kind of sunset. I actually stepped out of a meeting just about 2 weeks ago, not far from here, and there really was a sky every bit as dramatic as this. I mean, it was just one of those jaw-dropping moments. And just for what it's worth, I think, this is kind of funny, I think that painters can actually, a good painter can do justice to a sunset better than a photographer. Maybe that's only because I'm talking about amateur photographers. I don't know. But I think I feel like it's really hard to capture a good photograph of a sunset, but a painting, you actually can do it. Come closer to it. Right, if I... No, we still see a genie. There's nothing I can do about that. No matter what I do, we're all going to see a genie up there. I can't get rid of it at all. That's enough. I've messed up enough. Let me fuzz some stuff here a little bit. All right, that's done. Yahoo. Now, one more. I'll be going back working on the portrait all by myself, and I will conquer, I will overcome, I will have victory over that portrait. Just not on this broadcast. All right, now here's the third of my 3 paintings. I worked on this, well, night before last, I was downtown, and you can watch me do this. I'm having a real issue with sun. Hang on just a second. I had a great evening 2 nights ago. Stayed out much too late. I mean, stayed, paid for it the next morning kind of thing. But had a great time painting in downtown Raleigh. Bear with me just a minute. Oh, here, you guys should see this. As long as I'm doing stupid stuff, you might as well watch me, right? I've never had this exact problem before. Hey, you know what? I've got an idea. It's 5:30 already, and I was kind of hoping that I could go downtown and paint this evening, but it's almost too late now. By the time I get there, by the time I get set up, all right. By the time I get set up, whatever. I'd have to paint till 11:30 or 12 to accomplish anything. It just dawned on me. Why not do something just for me, just for fun, which is this bag right here. This bag right here. This is my watercolor sketch bag. It's not my serious watercolor equipment. It's just my small watercolor equipment. And I have a couple lawn chairs. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go downtown and just do some watercolor sketches. Hopefully sell them, but if I don't, I'll have a good time. All right, now this, and I have a photograph. I took this picture the other night. And I had a really good time painting it. I hope some of you can join me. I mean, can go back and watch that if you didn't catch it earlier. It's just, I'm standing in a park, our brand new, newly refurbished, $13.5 million park. 2.5 years, $13.5 million. Evidently, I am not in tune with how much $13.5 million can procure. I'm sorry. I have a hunch that there's a lot of other people in my fair city that are scratching their heads and saying the same thing. Forgive me, I have to clean brushes here for a minute. So, this park, before they fixed it, there was mostly grass with sidewalks. And now that they've spent $13.5 million, the park is mostly grass with sidewalks. New sidewalks, of course, don't get me wrong. Anyway, there's very little change, frankly, from anyway. I was thinking like a recessed or a sunken amphitheater, with one of those like sailboat sails, great big aluminum beams going up in the air with ropes and, like a band shell where the North Carolina Symphony can play. And that's what I was thinking, $13.5 million. Not just grass and sidewalks and one hot dog stand. Anyway, be that as it may, it is right nice. It is a very nice park. And I'm sure somebody will be glad to come to your town and build build one of those $13.5 million parks in your town. Call me before you hire them. Oh, I'm sorry. That is not even funny. All right. I see some interesting conversations going on over here. How much is a new good streaming camera? Good question. I guess if I were forced to make a decision right now, I would probably go with a GoPro Hero 6 or whatever they're up to now. Costs about the same, I think, as a Mevo, $400 or $500, and maybe I'll have more luck with a GoPro. I mean, I could hardly have worse luck than I've had with the Mevo. So who knows? I do have a Canon video camera, which I can stream. I can hook to my laptop with a video capture box, but I can't take that out on the street with me. So anyway, sorry, I'm probably going down a rabbit trail. And Barbara, it was you who said you had we're going to do a portrait? Oh no, Susan, you were just asked to do a portrait for money, and that is first for me. I don't know if I'm good enough. The person see my portraits, 2 people with the Golden Gate Bridge behind them. Go for it, Susan. Go for it. We'll cheer for you. Exactly. Trying failing is better than not trying at all. And don't forget, I mean, even with that one, if I get desperate, I will take my cheating level to a higher, and higher level. Does that make sense? No, why don't I just start there? Because if you just start with hyper cheating, you don't build skills. I think I've made that clear. But if you just cheat by stages, then you're still building skill the whole way along. I think you should get paid, by the way, Barbara. As soon as you take money for a painting, the pressure's on. And no matter how hard you try to do a good job, if you're not being paid, you just don't have that pressure. And the pressure is good. All right, back. Let's focus on this painting a little bit. Let me move you up a little bit. I worked on it two nights ago downtown. Yesterday I worked on a little bit. I made a couple really important. Last night I worked for about an hour, just a real short time. First of all, I really worked on the cars pretty hard. And as you can see, it's real full. This is the look I wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One around the corner that you clearly can't see. Sorry, Jason, I saw that. Can you just put a Photoshop filter on it? No, but you can project. You know, hang on. Let me detour. Okay, since we're still talking about portrait, let me demonstrate for you one way to cheat. Now, hang on, we're going back for a minute. I can't do it for you, but I think I can describe it adequately. Okay. Now, this requires you, of course, to have a computer, Photoshop or something like that, which if you're an artist, that's a given. You just do. And a printer. If you're an artist, you have a printer. Maybe you don't have a laminator. Anyway, one of the ways to cheat is pretend this is on regular paper. I'm not going to just pretend. Okay, can you do regular paper? And you put this down exactly over your portrait. You line it up. Then you put tape here. And then you do a flip book. Now it takes a little bit of practice, and I'm not lined up perfectly. But what you do is you look at every part. And for instance, like I'm looking at the corner of his mouth. Now, it's going so fast, I can't tell what's what, but I go slow and say, then I go, oh yeah, see, I've got the corner of his mouth in the painting is too defined. So I need to I need to smudge out. I'll just go ahead and do that one little change. Okay, so that's, again, that's just one cheat method. There are scores more. Does that make sense? So I call that the flip book or flip chart trick. And I've done it. I hate to admit it, but I'm being paid. I cannot get this wrong. It's got to be right. I'm not to that point yet, but if I get to that point, that's what I'll do. Okay, so there you go. There's a free, one more free tip at Uncle Dan's never-ending cavalcade of free tips. All right. Yeah, so Susan, go for it. If it was Susan, right? Yeah. And if you get stuck, Susan, send me an SOS. Say, hey, help, I'm stuck. I can give you more cheats. All right, one other big change that I made, one slight little change, is I had light coming out of these two windows. Now, when I was downtown painting the other night, I was making many jokes, but this is called the poorhouse, P-O-U-R. I think there's probably about 150 poorhouses across North America. Bar owners being clever. And when this establishment is open for business, it was closed when I was there, but when it's open for business, all the lights are off because that's the kind of bar it is. I've been there. My son, in fact, his punk rock band 15 years ago, his punk rock band played at the poorhouse at least once. So of course I went to the poorhouse to hear my son play, who I was very proud of and still am proud of. He's a drummer in a punk rock band. I never liked punk rock until my own son started his own punk rock band. Then I liked punk rock. All right, so it's the kind of place where the lights they have no electric bill. That's a joke, because all the lights are off and the music is thunderously loud. So that's what they pay electricity for, the loud music, and cheap beer. I don't really know that their beer is cheap, but you know what I mean? It's not like a, they brew it on site or anything like all these other frou-frou fancy places do these days. But I decided to turn off the lights last night when I was painting. I decided to turn off the lights in this establishment, at least in these two upstairs windows. And so you just saw me just then finish the process, because in order to darken it, I had to use some opaque color, which is a sin, of course. Then I repented from my sin by doing glazing on top of what was opaque. So now I'm okay. Do you like that? Repentance for my opacity. And now I'm going to paint the windows, and I am looking at a photograph here. In this light, the window frames, the mullions, and so forth. Look like a dull green. So that's the color. Indeed, that's the color I'm going with here. It's a dull green. And again, this is a little bit boring, so you don't need to watch me do the whole thing. This painting still has a little ways to go. I need to work on this tree. Need to work on these people. Need to work on the light on these cars, and so forth. So just a little bit here and there and here and there. Needs work, and I'm not in the mood to let you follow me all the way along as I do that work. Okay, now right there, I'm demonstrating. I haven't talked about this little principle in a while. anytime you have a highly repetitive shape, or motif is the word I like to use, shape, which in this case, the mullions, the boards going across the windows, there's a lot of them, right? There's a bunch there, and a bunch there. That's a repetitious motif. That is to say, a shape or a line or that's repeated a whole bunch of times. Got it? All right. Anytime you have a highly repetitious motif, I like to call it, you must concoct, invent, figure out some way to render that repetition without being repetitious. In other words, you need to come up with different ways of rendering it. So in the last few minutes, you've seen me use small brushes, you've seen me use a palette knife, and you've seen me scratch. So there's 3 different approaches, 3 different techniques for executing this repeated motif. Got it? Now the same, of course, repeated also in this window. So once again, I'll be looking for different ways to render. In fact, let me go back to the first window just for a minute and reinforce for you show you another way to render those mullions. Oh yeah, that looks like the blue car's on the sidewalk. My tires came down too far. You're right, exactly. That needs to be fixed. I caught that one myself. So another way to render the mullions is to negative paint them. So instead of painting the mullions now, I'm painting the dark space between them. So that gives me now, I think, 4 different techniques for executing that repeated pattern. That keeps it from becoming boring, monotonous, repetitious. Cool? And of course now I'm also just doing the trick I do all the time, which when you're doing opaque paint, you come back and you do a lighter color, slightly lighter on top of what you just put down. All right, so it has been a wild and woolly hour and a half with you here today. Those people are a little bit tall. Little bit, but not much. Think about it. How tall are people compared to, I guess? Okay, you're right, thank you. I'm gonna chop their heads off. There's a famous joke, isn't it? Where is it? About some queen saying to make him shorter by a head. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that. And as I said, I'm hoping I would have caught that, Mr. David, because I said I need to work on those people. But it doesn't hurt to be helped along the way. So, thank you. Yeah, that's better. Whew. No, there was a basketball convention. Didn't I tell you that? Basketball convention. I got to do better than that. Oh, there was a. Anyway. So I'm gonna paint here a little bit longer. I'll probably go back to my without your company. With your permission, without your company, I'm gonna go back to my portraits for a while. This is easy. Portrait's hard. And try to get some of that knocked out. And then, as I said, I'm glad I thought about, let's just go downtown. I don't always have to knock myself out. For me, watercolor is like vacation time. It's fun. In fact, I typically sit down when I do watercolor. So I have no idea where I'll do that. But if I do it, indeed, I'll invite you to join me, and I will broadcast down there. Jason, what's your local art supply store, Jason? Have you told us where you live? Okay, the stream's working better. Glad to hear it. Like I said, I did a factory reset on the camera. That means take a paper clip and push it in a little hole and hold it for 15 seconds. So I hope that helped. Be that as it may. Sorry for all the bad. Downtown for me, Barbara, is just 12 miles from here. 25 minute drive. Probably 25 on normal traffic. Not bad at all. It was a late at night when I finished. I finished painting this night at about 10:30. Yeah. And then, of course, 40 minutes of packing up and then driving home. So I got home at 11:30. I remember that. I do like my glow down here. I'm going to work on this some more. In fact, tell you what, one more quick thing before I go. I'm going to reglaze that part of the painting down there, because when I was working on it last night, this part here, I did a bunch of stuff and wiped it off with a rag. So while I was wiping it off with a rag, I was also wiping off the glaze that I had done. So there, I just reglazed it, and now I'm going to paint with a rag, wipe off what I want, not any more than I want. A little tip, by the way, if you ever want more to come off, then you can dip your rag in the Gamsol, whatever you're using, and then it really takes it off. Does that make sense? There, I like that better now. It's looking a little pale in there. Right, any other wonderful comments? It was 11:15 when I finished? Maybe it was. Maybe I got home at 12:30. No, I didn't get home at 12:30. Anyway, thanks for keeping an eye on me. All right. Whew. This has been an emotional broadcast. I will show you that portrait when I get it all fixed, and then you'll say, golly, he's a good painter. Oh, never mind. I won't get started. I've got my mind is full of all kinds of thoughts, but I'm going to save it. Save you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your company.